Hi, Brett. Hi, Grace.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Great.
I'm with city staff. I'm just helping with the admin part of this
Got
Zoom
it.
meeting here. It's just as a reminder to everyone, we are recording this session, so just as a heads up.
Sure.
Alderman Ravel, are you able to hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, thanks.
Okay, great. Lolita and Brian, are you able to hear okay?
Yeah, I can hear fine.
Great.
This is Grace Yang. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
And Brian, we're still waiting for the mayor and anyone else besides the mayor?
Mayor and Marion Macbeth.
Okay.
I was just informed that Dick Peach will not be able to attend, but as far as I know, the mayor and Marion Macbeth are still
Thank you.
attending.
Brian,
Yes.
I wanted to let you know that I did notify the general manager, Martin Perez, about
Okay.
the hearing today, and I gave him the video information, but he wasn't sure if he'd be able to make it. So if he does, I'll be pleasantly surprised, but
Okay.
he
No
wasn't sure
worries.
to do it. Okay?
All right. Thanks for the heads up.
Mhm.
Okay, and we have the mayor and Marion as well. And just as a reminder, we are recording this session.
I was informed that Dick Peach will not be able to attend, so I think this is everyone. Grace is here on behalf of Chili's, and Brett is here on behalf of the American Legion. And the mayor, if you're ready, I think we can get started.
Ready. Thank you, Brian. Okay, we're going to go ahead and commence the Liquor Control Review Board meeting. We're going to do it virtually, which we're allowed to under the law due to the pandemic that's going on right now. We've got Marion Macbeth with us, as Brian mentioned. Hi, Marion. Nice to see you. Dick Peach, who's our other board member, couldn't be here. Something just came up. So it's Marion and I today. The first thing is, in terms of the agenda, I've called it to order, suspension of the rules. So I am moving to suspend the rules to allow us to participate electronically and by telephone, which is now allowed because of the pandemic, as I mentioned. First item on the agenda is approval of our meeting minutes. Marion, did you have a chance to look at those minutes? Okay. And I looked at them as well, didn't have any.
I did,
questions.
yeah.
Your Honor, just real quick, I think if you make that motion to proceed electronically, virtually, Ms. Macbeth is going to have to second it, and then you guys are have to vote on it before we proceed.
All right. So I'm moving that we proceed with this meeting electronically and by telephone. Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
So now we'll do the same with the approval of the minutes. I move that we approve the minutes. Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're now going to move to new orders of business. We have two items on the agenda today. The first one is Chili's Grill and Bar, which has been here for a long time here in Evanston, right there at the corner on Maple and was it Clark? I don't know. Does Clark run that far? If that's that's the corner of it. But I know we have Grace here. So Grace, why don't you just introduce yourself for the record and share with us I presume it's a change that you're looking to make, because I imagine you've had a liquor license. So I just want to understand that. Welcome.
Good afternoon or good morning. Thank you for having me. Yes, my name is Grace Yang. I am an attorney and licensing counsel representing Brinker Restaurant Corporation. This Chili's restaurant has been a part of your community for many years, and it was a franchised location. What we are trying to do now is to apply to have the Class C liquor license approved, because the franchisee wants to give the restaurant back to the company. So instead of it being a franchised Chili's location, this proposal, and for your consideration, is to convert it to a company-owned Chili's location.
Okay.
Brinker Restaurant Corporation operates Chili's throughout the country, and we would very much appreciate the Liquor Board's consideration and approval of this request.
Okay, thank you, Grace. Brian, you've had a chance to look through the whole application. I know Marion and I had it as well in our packet. Were there any concerns that you had?
No, all their paperwork looks to be in order. No big surprises, no concerns.
All right, so this is pretty standard where we have like almost a transfer in ownership, Brian. We have many of these that come across the agenda. Is that a fair representation?
Yes.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, all right. Marion, do you have any questions or concerns?
Not at all.
Okay. I move that we move this on to the City Council for their review and approval. It would be, I presume, Brian, at our next City Council meeting, which would be Monday, July 13th.
Correct. I would try to get it on the agenda for then.
Okay. Is there a second to that?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Grace, so thank you for coming and submitting this application. It'll go before the City Council on July 13th. Let's see. I know we have Eleanor Ravel here, but she's the 7th Ward Alderman. She's here for the next item on the agenda. You are in, I'm not sure, Brian, do you know, are they in the 1st Ward or the 2nd Ward?
2nd Ward.
Okay, so Grace, Alderman Braithwaite, Peter Braithwaite is the alderman. Because this is pretty standard, what you're looking to do here, if you want to approach and Brian can connect you to the alderman and ask that the rules be suspended, it could go forward on July 13th for introduction and approval and action, okay, on the same evening. Otherwise, it's a 2-step process, but we
Thank
can do
you.
it. Okay.
Thank you. I'll follow up with Brian offline then. Yes.
Thank you. I always sort of end
Sounds
these
good.
whenever it comes with a liquor license. You're a big corporation. You've operated here for a long time. Obviously, it's changed from the franchise to the corporate. I have zero tolerance for underage drinking. Obviously, we have a big university here. We have lots of young, wonderful young people here. And I have no tolerance for over-serving people. And so you've always operated responsibly. I expect you'll continue to do that as the Brinker Restaurant Corporation and the owner of this Chili's Grill and Bar. If that doesn't occur, then we will meet in my office, or if we still have a pandemic, we'll meet via Zoom and have a pretty frank and harsh conversation.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Grace, you're welcome to stay, or you can drop off since your business is taken care of. We're going to move to the next item on the agenda, which is dealing with the American Legion, which is a wonderful organization here in town that represents our veterans. And I know we've got Brett here, and there's a change that has been floated around to make to the liquor code, section 3-4-6. So why don't we start here? Brian, why don't you talk to us about the current code and the change that would take place, and then I'm going to ask Brett to just talk about the plans and why they're asking for the change.
Sure. So the code as it stands right now, section 346S, which governs Class S licenses, it pretty much only applies to the American Legion. They're the only Class S license holder in Evanston. Basically deals with nationwide veterans groups. And as of now, it limits service of alcohol to members and their guests. And the proposed change to the code would get rid of that restriction and open up service to non-members as well. In talks with the American Legion, they had expressed interest in doing this because just given the pandemic and the economic crunch we're in right now, they felt that opening up to non-members and maybe expanding service outdoors would help them survive. And if we were allowed to allow service of non-members, then this would put the American Legion kind of in competition with other restaurants in Evanston. So another change in the proposed change in the code would be to increase the cost of the liquor license from $500 to $2,800 to keep it consistent with Class D license holders.
All right. Well, that seems appropriate. We're not looking to give somebody an advantage over somebody else, but we also want to make sure there's a fair playing field here. But also we've been trying in this pandemic to make sure we are helping all of our establishments here in Evanston responsibly. So Brett, why don't you take it from there in terms of just give us a little more color in terms of why you're requesting this, and also help me because obviously I've been to the Legion before.
I just saw you there the other day.
No, I think it's a great place. I think you've done a great job with the outdoor area there, and it's you're really practicing social distancing and all that. So
Sure.
I think it's great. But I guess I also thought in the past that maybe you had served non-members. And so maybe now it's like, hey, we want to make sure we're abiding by all the rules and we've looked closely at our license. So.
Sure. Yeah, and I can certainly speak to that. So the license, because it's members and guests, has been always, in general, there's always been a member with other guests. So in reality, there have been general public, but they've always been considered guests of the of the member that they were with. At this point, with wanting to expand to the general public, we want to, again, we just want to make sure that we are following the rules and making sure that, we're not getting anyone to slip by. We don't, it is cumbersome for us to make sure that everyone's a member. So this would then kind of get rid of that barrier for us. And it would also make sure that, again, we're following the liquor license rules and we're following our dram shop and making sure that we're above board, across the board. As we've been here 100.5 years now. So it's been quite a while. And one of the things that, why the request has been made to change the Class S is because the membership as a whole and the board especially considers the Class S, their legacy to a certain sort. It's been like that for 100 years. We would rather have the amendment to the license as opposed to move to a Class D or any of the other classes that we were looking at. And our intention certainly is to be able to have open space outside where we're serving the general public, which then as our membership ages in general, we have found that, we do have new members that are coming in that are younger, but by and large, they are not able to support the Legion like the older members are because they have jobs and children and, they're just not around as much. So by allowing the general public to come in and going that route, we're able then to continue to operate, obviously, keep the lights on, keep the TVs working. But in addition to that, we're a asset for the neighborhood. I live a block and a half away. All of my neighbors have become members of the Legion because they want to hang out at the Legion. And especially on the patio now with all the social distancing and everything else that goes with that, we are fortunate enough to have partnered with the golf course at the same time in a partnership for outdoor space so that we can then have everyone socially distant. And we found that really everyone has been very, has been very happy with that opportunity because there really is not anywhere else in Evanston where you've got that much space to deal with. So we've gone above and beyond. We make sure that not only are you 6 feet away, you've also got more space to yourself. And, and we've kind of gone farther than even the minimums are to make sure that we're making people comfortable in general. The liquor license change would just be a very good thing for us to make sure that we're in compliance with everyone. The golf course had also made the request because they want to, again, because we're two separate organizations, they wanted to make sure that everyone is covered by insurance and we don't run into any issues with that. My only comment would be is I would be remiss in not asking for a little bit less of a fee, only because I don't consider us really a competition for, a 10 Mile or a Bluestone or anyone that's in our neighborhood because we're not on that level. We are a bring your own chair type of place, sit at a table, have a couple of cocktails, have a frozen pizza. And, at that point, your clientele, there's certainly a very, there's certainly a segment of the population that doesn't appeal to at all. But again, we're happy that even to be considered, but again, I'd be remiss in not asking for for some better pricing.
Of course. We respect that. I don't know.
No, I understood. Yeah, understood. So I don't know if there are any specific questions. I'd be happy to answer whatever.
Thank you, Brett. Let's see. Marion, do you have any questions, comments?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm going to have to go by and see this place.
No, it's
I
really-
haven't been
it's got a
there.
really nice
Yeah,
op-
we'd be happy to have you. It's on a nice night. It is a beautiful place to be.
Okay. Mhm.
And how about, we also have Alderman Mervell. with us today, and in the Legion and Canal Shores is in the 7th ward.
So I do have just a couple of questions.
Sure.
Since you mentioned frozen pizza, so how big a food offering do you actually have for?
That's really
it?
it right now. Yeah. Now we also do have a commercial kitchen license. We have food service managers on staff all the time. We are considering doing some more food at this point, but there are some factors with that. We needed some upgrades to make sure that we had a freezer that works and everything. I mean, just some things that we really, as a frozen pizza, we have one big we have one big freezer, and it's full of pizzas, and we have little electric pizza ovens that cook it. I don't know exactly how they do it, but it is the best frozen pizza I've ever had, which is kind of, I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, but we get it from Eastside Cafe, which also does Whole Foods. They've got them at Whole Foods at the same time. But it is a little weird that, my kids will actually ask for Legion pizza is what they call it.
Okay. No, I was just trying to understand the sort of the competition issue.
Absolutely.
I would agree that it doesn't sound like, something that somebody's got 10 Mile House in mind is going to consider.
Well, yeah, and we're
the patio is wonderful, but
yeah, and we're, if need be, I am sure that John from Bluestone and any of the guys from 10 Mile would probably tell you the same thing. 10 Mile actually donated furniture to the patio quite a few years ago when I first started. So all of the black furniture that's on the patio right now was originally 10 Mile's furniture. So, it is, I do feel that in general, everyone, or at least those two specifically are kind of the ones that we usually work with, and they do catering for us upstairs all the time too.
Right. Okay. And then just to better understand what's been meant by guests all these years. So if somebody is coming to Canal Shores to play golf, and at the end of the golf round they want to have a beer, but they're not with any American Legion member, have they been?
Then at that point we can't serve them. But normally what happens is, so we've got a couple of different levels of membership, and there is the true veteran membership, there is the SAL, which is the son of an American Legion, and then there's a booster. I personally am a booster, so I'm just a member of the community. I'm a neighbor. In most cases when that happens, the question would be, all right, so we know you're not a member, would you like to become a member? And at that point, it's $25 a year for a membership. So if they're golfing there a couple times a year, they can't take it off of the patio, however, at this point. Now, I have heard the Canal Shores now in the future may have a different license for that, but from our perspective, they obviously can't go past the parameters that we've set. So it's not like we can sell it for them to go out on a cart and go from there. But, and again, it is a matter of, all right, if you are not a member, you need to be a member for us to sell it to you, because that's how our liquor license goes. We have not in general had a problem with that though, because our membership, dues are so low that they're like, all right, fine, for $25, I'd like to go sit and have a couple beers on the patio, and I'll be back in 3 weeks anyway, so I might as well.
Right. Yeah. Great. Okay. Plus it's a worthy cause.
Well, and that too. And that's exactly true. Some people are just like, well, if it's going to the Legion, fine. That's fine with me. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Then I have just one more question, and that's maybe for staff. So the property on which the patio sits is city property, question mark? It's not, I'm worried about, it's not MWRD property, right?
No, I can even answer that one too.
Okay, thank you.
So we have stayed very far away from anything that is considered WMRD property. And I know, again, the city can obviously answer that more, but we have been worked very hard with Canal Shores to make sure that we are within the parameters of Canal Shores property. Well, city/Canal Shores property.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because I don't want to
Nope.
add that wrinkle to our.
Oh no, wait. And I stumbled into that a little bit when we first started this process, and very quickly then kind of back from Brian and said, all right, I didn't mean that. I don't want anything to do with WMRD at this point at all.
Sure. Okay. So those are my questions.
Brett, I just have one follow-up question to that. So you talked about the freezer full of frozen pizzas.
Mhm.
And I know it's a partnership I think that you have with the kitchen downstairs, but in the summer, at least last year, maybe different now because of the pandemic, they had, you know, hamburgers and hot dogs and food like that that you could get.
Yes.
And I realize the Legion runs year round. That's only
Yes.
open during the summer period. But is that still true that there is food down there?
We have stopped doing that mostly because of the logistics of how it had to run, and partially pandemic, partially just the amount of, in all reality, the amount of effort that had to go into making that one hamburger became more cumbersome than we could really handle at this point. With some changes as far as we are, you know, I don't know if you see it, but we are putting in a permit for replacing our hood that is up in the kitchen with a new hood and fire suppression. And that in turn will allow us to do actual cooking up in the kitchen on a more than, right now, you know, our insurance and everything covers us for Legion events. So let's say 10 times a year we cook in the kitchen and we're covered by that. The thought process would be, is since we found a used hood, you know, we've got some guys that have do this and have given us a real break, so we can put in this hood relatively, well, not inexpensively, but at a better price than we could afford normally, so that we do have that ability going forward. Once that is done, yes, we would like to go back to possibly the hamburgers and hot dogs, and maybe throw some tacos in there, just some easy outside type of food.
My son, who's now 12, to this day continues to say the best hot dog he's ever had in his entire life. He had at Canal Shores outdoors. I tell Mike Hughes that every time. I tell Mike every time I see him, kid's still saying it's the best hot dog ever.
That is funny. Well, yeah. You know, when you're sitting outside under the sun, you know, I mean, everything tastes better.
Right. I may just go there. I may just go there, Ted. I may just go there this evening.
You know, you might have to actually, Mike, make you some hamburger or hot dogs, just so you can have another summer of hot dogs.
Exactly. All right. So let's see. Assuming there's no other questions here for Brett on this license change. So the way I understand, Brian, this would work is first, oh no, actually they already have, no, let's see, maybe I need you to take us through the process. I presume this change, if we approved it here at the liquor board, would go to the city council on July 13th. And then after, if this change is approved by the council, does American Legion need to do anything at that point, or they already have the Class S, they'll just pay the difference? Or, yeah, what happens then?
Yeah, they already have the Class S. They would need to pay the difference, and I would need to talk to Stephen O'Sullivan and Alex Thorpe, but I think that it would probably be prorated, just given that I'm not exactly sure when their current license runs out, but we would probably prorate it. And I'm not 100% sure of the details on that. I need to talk to Stephen O'Sullivan and Alex Thorpe about that.
Okay. All right. All right. So I will go ahead and move that we move this proposed change to the city council on the July 13th meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So Brett,
thank you.
We will move this. Obviously, Alderman Ravel is with us today. So if you're looking to expedite it, you can talk to her about suspending the rules, and making for introduction and action at the same meeting.
Yeah, I would think trying to suspend the rules and do it quickly would be nice, because then there'd be more time to enjoy the summer weeks on the patio. So
that would certainly be appreciated. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Can I just officially ask for that to be part of the way it moves forward then?
Sure. When in the transmittal memo, I'll put that in there.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
All right. And then Brett, obviously with this expanded license, same thing that I mentioned to Grace Yang earlier. It's a privilege, not a right, to have a liquor license in Evanston. and you've always acted responsibly as an organization, both with not over-serving people and not serving minors. We expect the same level of attention to running your business going
Absolutely.
forward with this new license. Yeah. So,
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time. Do appreciate it. And, we look forward to a nice summer outside.
great. And it's going to be a nice week. It's a good week for people to
Yeah.
go to the region.
Yeah, hopefully.
I did want to ask you this question. Do you offer non-alcoholic drinks? I mean, if people
Oh,
are there
sure.
with a guest and they just
Yeah,
want to.
yeah, absolutely. We have non-alcoholic beer. Then we also have sodas, cranberry, orange juice, that sort of stuff. We have had juice boxes or juice like bags in the past. We haven't done that yet because without the camps and everything kind of going there, we haven't really had much use for it. Most of our people that have been coming in lately have not been children, whereas in the past, it's been,
Oh yeah.
more kids. Right at this point, it hasn't been. So yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Great.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks, Brian and Brett for I know you guys worked for many weeks on this. So thank
Yep.
you.
And thank you, Brian, also again. You were very helpful throughout the whole process.
No problem.
Okay.
All
no problem.
right. Seeing nothing else on the agenda, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
I second, and I think we're all in favor. So, all right, the liquor board meeting, control meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and thank you, Brian and Lolita, for facilitating, putting all the information together.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.